like I just kind of just manifested out of the air, just appeared out of thin air or something. But that's not actually what happened. I was just trying to adjust my chair. Yeah, beautiful, beautiful day. I was feeling a little under the weather today, so I ended up kind of staying home. And by under the weather, I just mean I just was feeling a bit fatigued, um, and my stomach was just not well based on something that I might have eaten yesterday. But I'm back. I'm back, and as promised, live at 11:30 p.m. MGM. Welcome everyone to the live stream. Um, you know, there's something that I kind of want to talk about. Playing hooky. Nah, I wasn't playing hooky, but I just wasn't. I really, literally wasn't feeling well. Um, but yeah, but there's something that I actually do want to talk about. Um, Something that's really been on my mind. And I think that there's a lot of people out there that kind of get stuck in some negative situations that happen to them throughout their life, right? Whether it be something that happened in the past, well, it's highly likely it's something that happened in the past, right? But it's something that you may not have necessarily recovered from yet and gotten back into that state of just being balanced and being happy, right? Because um, just the processing of the traumatic situation, right? In which, um, you know, it get it. I can't lie to you. It does get kind of difficult to really get over something traumatic and just rebound and get back to life, right? It can be very difficult. However, it's like you're kind of driving around, right? Or you're living life, and you have this shade, or you have these shades on, right? And you're not seeing life for what it truly is because you have the shades on, and the shades are represent the trauma, the traumatic situations that happened in the past, right? So that's what the shades represent. And this is the lens that you're viewing this life through. You're viewing life through the bad experiences and the trauma that you've had in the past, right? And in return, it keeps you trapped in that state of being. You're trapped in that vibration, right? Based on the fact that this is all you see. Now you don't get to see life for what it really is, right? So it's pivotal that you get to the point where it's like, yo, you know what? I went through that situation. It wasn't the most pleasant situation, but what is it that it's done for me? How did it shape my character, right? What did in return? What happened as a result of me going through this situation, right? And it could be a host of different things, right? It could have happened for a host of different reasons. But you have to be grateful for that situation as well, right? Because it definitely taught you something. What did it teach you? Well, that's for you to really decipher. Because everyone's situation, everyone's life is unique to them. Everyone's experience is unique to them, right? So you are energy having this experience in this way. And it gets easy for us to look at the world through our ego and kind of personalize things when they do happen, right? And then get to the point where now it becomes a burden to us, and it keeps us shackled to the present, or to the past, I should say, and not in the present. You know, Bob Marley said this back in the day, man. Bob Marley, shout outs to Bob Marley. He said, emancipate yourself from mental slavery. None but ourselves can free our mind. Right? And there's so much wisdom in those words. The mental slavery that keeps you shackled to the past, that keeps you shackled into a frequency, a vibration that it gets difficult for you to break through, because you now have this habitual pattern of thinking the same thoughts over and over, reliving the same trauma over and over, right? You wake up, and the first thing that you think about is the things that's happened to you yesterday, right? But it's a new day. It's a new dawn. New experiences. Create new experiences. That's why last night, before I ended the live, I made it my responsibility, right? I made it my responsibility. No one asked me to, but to kind of ask you guys to say something positive to yourself before you go to the bed. Before you go to bed, if you pray, pray, whatever it is that you do, right? But say something positive and plant some positive seeds before you go to sleep. And then when you wake up the next day, do the same thing. Just go inward and say something positive. Put yourself into the vibration where you start feeling better about life, where you start feeling better about yourself, where you boost your self-esteem. Absolutely. How you talk to yourself definitely does matter. Give me 1 second, guys. Hold on. Yeah. So, how you talk to yourself, just like Akel said. Am I saying your name? Akahili. Akaeli. I'm trying to say it. But just like how he said, or she said just now, right? How you talk to yourself matters. How you talk to yourself absolutely matters. And it's not just that it matters, right? Because this is how you are going into the world. Now, are you going to go into the world being all down on yourself with doubt, right? With insecurities. And this is the self-talk. This is what's going on in your head. You're doubtful. You don't know if you can. You're terrified. You're fearful. Is this how you want to approach life? Okay, so I got a question from Douglas Hernandez. It says, how we can overcome struggles, it's just God help us. Yeah, so God is a part of it, right? God is a part of it, but if God is omnipotent, I believe is the term that's used, right? Everywhere at all times. Is God not also inside of us as well? Right? Bro, ice wall, oh come. I don't quite know what it is that you're trying to ask us now. But as I was saying to Douglas Hernandez, God is everywhere and he's also inside of us as well. Right? So you don't have to go outside to talk to God. Right? You can have dialogue with God internally. Right? So go inward and have a conversation with God. Go inward, have a conversation with your higher self. Go inward and have a conversation with the universe within. Right? And build a foundation of strength inward. So that when you are faced with some of life's difficulties, you got a safe haven to run back into. You understand what I'm saying? So instead of you just relying on things outside of yourself, right? Just things outside of yourself. Rely on things inside of yourself as well. Build up your self-esteem. Build up your self-esteem through your spiritual diet, through the things that you internalize, through the things that you absorb from the outside, much like the food that we absorb from the outside, right? And I'm guilty of it because recently I've been eating a lot of snacks, right? Recently I've been eating a lot of snacks. I've been pescatarian for a number of years now, but recently I've started eating a lot of snacks, and it's not good. And I definitely am going to get back because today I just started my somewhat of a fruit diet. But yeah, you know, internally, the things that we absorb, the things that we tell ourselves, the things that we listen to when someone outside of ourselves is telling us, hey, you can't do this, or being very aggressive to us, or whatever it is. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't even have the mic on me. Wow. I just was talking. I didn't even have the mic in front of me. Show you how passionate I am. But I hope you guys can hear me. But yeah, so, you know, we live our lives, right? And sometimes you could grow up in a household. You don't get to choose your family. You don't choose your family, but you love them, right? And even though you love your family, they may not love you necessarily to the same degree that you love them, right? They may not love you at the same rate, at the same pace, with the same effort, with the same passion that you love yourself. And they sometimes, and I'm not going to always say when they speak to you kind of rudely or whatever it is, then that means they don't love you. Sometimes people do that. People tend to do that. People say mean things. I've said mean things to people that I love more than anything in the world before. That's somewhat a part of it, and that's not making an excuse for it, right? But as I've gotten older, I've exercised better self-control. I've exercised better control of the tongue, right? Through my spiritual diet, through the things that I absorb, through the life that I want to live, through the seeds that I want to plant, right? I decided that I'm going to change the way how I interact with the world. It is great tour topics. Go ahead, and we need more speaking about it. Greetings from Nicaragua. Big up Nicaragua. Everyone that's in the chat, make sure you subscribe and like the video. We're definitely on our way to 200 subscribers, and I thank you all for joining us. But yeah, I think so we've been taught, right? We've been kind of taught that you got to sit down and listen. There's nothing wrong with prayer. There's nothing wrong with being religious. If that's the path that you choose to go down, that's okay. I don't see anything wrong with it, right? What I do see something wrong with is that people sometimes expect things to just fall out of the sky without any sort of internal dialogue. Because yes, we are spiritual beings, right? But if we're not deliberate about the things that we want out of life, if we don't speak these things into existence, because even in the Bible, it says in the beginning was the Word. In the beginning was the Word, right? But the Word came from somewhere else. It had to. Energy can't be created nor destroyed. And that's something that I say over and over and over and over again. In the beginning was the Word. It came from the spiritual realm. It came from the intangibles, right? So now what words do you speak? Let there be light, right? Let there be this. Let there be that. And if we are in his image, if we are just mini gods and goddesses, then we have the power and the ability to speak things into existence. Good things and bad things. So here it is. Now, what you have to do is to start planting seeds, positive seeds. You got to start planting seeds of positivity. You can't plant mangoes and expect apples. It doesn't work like that. And something that I see very, very often is that people are often planting bad seeds and expecting to reap something positive. And when they reap the negative seeds, they think to themselves, why? Why am I reaping these negative seeds? Well, what did you plant? Did you plant seeds of negativity this morning before when you woke up? Are you planting negative seeds throughout the day? Or are you planting positive seeds throughout the day? Right? Are you smiling? Are you interacting in a way where people around you can be warm and warm up to you? It doesn't necessarily mean they will, right? Because everybody's not vibrating at the same frequency. But when they don't, even when they don't, did they now take that energy away from you? Did they now bring you down to their vibration? Or do you keep going in your vibe and just charge it to the game? Or do you remain shackled by the bondage of what it is that just took place? We have to decide what it is that we want. We have to decide who it is that we are. Dude, I look like Corey Cajun. Who, me? I don't even know who that is. I don't know who that is. I might have to look that up. But yeah, it's about the seeds that we plant on a day-to-day basis, right? The seeds that we plant and the seeds that we go and we water. So if you're planting the seeds and you're not watering it, then that's another thing as well. So, right? So it's all good and well you tell yourself positive things, but how do you feel? It's all good and well that you tell yourself, because yeah, you could speak, you could say anything out of your mouth, right? But how do you feel? That's the other dimension, right? How do you feel? Right? Because I could be upset and say happy things. I love you. You're great. Right? You see? You get what I'm saying? Or I could say it, I could feel it with every fiber, every part of me. I could tell you, listen, I love you. I love you more than anything in this world. Right? I could say it and I could feel it. So not only is it happening, and not only is it the words coming out of my mouth, not only am I saying it, but I actually feel it. So now what that does is that has a completely different operates at a completely different vibration, a different frequency than just saying it and not feeling it. Because now my body is disconnected from my mind, from my spirit, everything is just disconnected. But when everything is together, right? And I say these things, whatever it is, these positive things, or negative things, whatever it is, I say it and I also feel it. Man, the whole universe is behind me when I do that. Right? I have the power of the entire universe when I say something deliberately and I mean it. See how that works? And listen, we have this thing where society kind of divides us into categories, right? And we kind of divide ourselves based on the things that we identify as, to say, all right, this is who I am, or this is what I am. Do you have any advice on addiction? Advice on addiction? Okay. I don't necessarily know if I have advice on addiction, but I could tell you my own sort of experience. Maybe I could share my experience with you, and hopefully you could draw some sort of inspiration from that, right? I am in the habit of procrastinating everything. How can I get rid of it? I will get into that right before I share my story with this individual, DJ Scoot, all right? So, advice for addiction. So, I'll share something with you, right? In 2018, right? My mother-in-law at the time, because I was married, I'm no longer married, was in 2017. I think she moved in with us the year my daughter was born, right? But when she moved in with us, she moved in with this spirit of quote-unquote Delilah. That's the only way I could really describe it, right? And basically, my marriage started to take a turn for the worse, right? Based on the dialogue between her and her daughter, the things that she was telling her daughter. We didn't necessarily have it all figured out, right? But I could always feel it. I could always feel that something was off. I felt the energy before anything. It's almost as if the universe was telling me this is what's going to happen. So now at the time, I was kind of building my life. It's not that I started my spiritual journey, but I really dove more into my spiritual journey, right? So at the time, I had a 5 Series at the time. I was driving all over the place. From New York, Connecticut, Jersey, right? I was driving all over the place with this 5 Series. And at the time, I was smoking a whole lot of marijuana in order to cope with the things that was going on at home. The fact that I now have a newborn daughter. The fact that it seems like my family life is falling apart. And I would smoke weed every single day. Right? 2, 3, 4 times a day. Minimum, at very minimum, an eighth a day. Right? So now, it was my sort of way of maybe enhancing my spiritual path, right? At the time. Haven't smoked in years now. But maybe at the time I wanted to enhance my spiritual journey. And I wanted to escape what it is that was going on around me. I didn't want to believe it was real. And this was also a way for me to kind of like calm myself down, right? Calm myself down from doing something stupid. So I felt like this was the outlet for all of those things. For me, was that marijuana that I was smoking at the time, right? You mix that with the fact that now I'm using this to cope with every sort of stressful situation. Like if I'm out there working, whatever it is, right? I'm smoking. I don't care who sees it. This is what it is. This is what I'm doing. Smoking in my car. It did not matter, right? So now it became a regular occurrence. It became something that I was doing habitually, often, every single day. It became a part of my habit. If I breathe, I smoke, right? And it had gotten to the point where it dawned on me like, yo, what am I doing? What exactly is it that I'm doing? And it's not as if I couldn't quit, right? But it's just the fact that it just made things just feel so much easier for me. It made the things that I was going through feel so much easier to cope with. Because, man, all I got to do is just smoke some weed, just relax, go off into a completely different vibration. And sharing that space with that marijuana, the thing is with that, right? Whatever insecurities that you have, it will enhance those insecurities. Whatever you have in your unconscious, it would bring it right out to the forefront. You understand what I'm saying? So that's the thing as well, right? Coupled with the fact that I was using it in a way that it wasn't meant to be used, as far as I'm concerned, right? Because it's a plant, it was given to us by the universe, but it was meant to be ingested in different ways, right? And the fact that I was also abusing it, it started to have negative effects not only on my life, it started to have negative effects on my body, it started to have negative effects on the things that were happening around me. And it wasn't until, I would say, 2021, maybe 2022, that I decided, yo, you know what? I'm not doing this anymore. What's this doing for my life? Even though I could cope, even though I'm not perfectly, but even though I'm able to operate, even though I'm a spiritual being having this human experience, and this is just the path that I was meant to, the experience that I was meant to have at this time, it got to the point where it just started getting too old. So I decided one day, I was just like, yo, you know what? I'm just going to stop smoking. Regardless of whatever it comes with, I'm just not going to smoke anymore. Right? So that's what I did. I stopped smoking. And before, it's not to say that it was hard to do, but you sort of, if it's something that you're doing regularly, it gets difficult for you to be like, yo, you know what? I'm not going to do this anymore. But then when you look at life and you see what it is that you're missing out on, you see the fact that now you're sharing space with this plant, right? Not to say that it's a bad thing, but ingest it maybe in different ways. But you're sharing spaces with this plant. This plant now becomes a part of you, right? You're both now having this human or this experience together. This human, this plant, these two spiritual beings are now sharing the same space at the same time and interacting with the world around them, right? And if you're not in control of yourself, and if you have things in your unconscious, it would absolutely bring it right out to the forefront. So one day I just got to the point where I just decided that's it. I'm not going to do it. I had to look within myself and see what it is that it was doing for me, what it was doing to me, what it was doing to my life, the opportunities that I was missing out on, the things that I was just being very passive to, the things that I was letting just go by. And it would just be days and days of just wasting life. Now, right? I'm approaching my mid-30s, and I have some strands of gray in my hair, right? But I had to get to that point where I started getting some maturity, and I started realizing this is probably doing more harm to me than it is doing good. And what I really need to do is replace this with meditation. Replace this with my internal dialogue. Replace this with the things that I tell myself. Because it wasn't hard. I could have quit at any time. But it just took, I just didn't want to. And you could quit whatever it is that you're doing that's hampering your progress, that's stopping you from living life. You can quit that at any given time. Anytime. Because you don't need it. I haven't touched marijuana since. Well, I haven't smoked marijuana since. I did take an edible once after, but that about it. I am the habit of procrastinating. All right, we'll get to this one. The habit of procrastination. How can I get rid of the habit of procrastination? Like Nike said, just do it, brother. Like Nike said, just do it. Right? You got. What's the risk of me procrastinating? And what's the reward if I do the things that I tell myself that I'm going to do? Right? So, is it guaranteed that I'm going to I'm going to, become a billionaire if I do exactly what it is that I tell myself? Is that guaranteed? No. But does it give me some sort of purpose? Absolutely. So, what is it that you're waiting for? Right? So, do I want to live a life of purpose? And purpose doesn't necessarily have to involve money. Often money is just an accessory. And I'm not saying it's just an accessory. It's energy, right? Obviously, it's energy. And based on the society that we live in, money is something that we use to trade, right? But when it's all said and done, the purpose, what's your purpose? Right? What is my purpose? Well, I came up with this idea that I'm going to start a food truck. What do I need to do to start that food truck? So now I have a mission in my mind, right? The food truck. Where am I going to put the food truck? Man, that gives me such purpose. Oh man, I got this vision. Man, this vision. I'm going to have a food truck. In the food truck, we're going to, we're going to get some chairs. We're going to play some music. We're going to be really fun. We're going to give out samples. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. Brilliant idea. Whether or not people believe it's a brilliant idea, it's an idea that was given to you. Whatever that idea is, it was given to you, right? And now it's up to you to cultivate that to water those seeds with the deeds, with the things that you do. You have to hold yourself accountable. If it's something that you want, you have to hold yourself accountable. 100% accountable. You guys like and subscribe. Like and subscribe. Let me see what else I could see. I feel that I suffered for addiction for almost 3 years and almost lost my life to it. Nah, I feel you on that, brother. I feel you on that. I absolutely feel you on that. Everyone like and subscribe. I know how that feels. And sure, I was never addicted to anything hard, right? You wouldn't classify marijuana as something hard, right? And like I said, I could have quit at any time, but I chose not to. Right? I chose because I took the easier path. I took the path of least resistance. That's what it was. The path of least resistance. So now here I am taking the easy route, smoking that weed every day. Right? But yeah, hold yourself accountable. It helps me. T. I know your wallet fat now. Work out then chill. Someone once told me, why can't your life function on weed? However, it effed up my life. So we can't just strictly just blame the actual plant, right? There's also the response, because the plant didn't tell us, listen, myself included at the time when I was smoking, the plant didn't tell me, hey, you come pick me up and smoke me, right? So there was also some accountability that I have to take as well, based on what it is that I was doing. Hold on, give me 1 second. Based on what it is that I was doing with that plant. That plant wasn't meant for me to ingest it that way. But it made life more fun. It made life seem easier. It made my problems go away. So I did it. Right? So I invited marijuana into my space, and we both shared the space together. I said, come on in. Come on in. Right? So there's also that responsibility that I take as well in what it is that I did. So now once you start taking accountability for it, it now becomes easier for you to say, all right, cool. Well, you know what, marijuana, I can't invite you here right now. We had a good time, but I can no longer invite you into my space. Yeah. Thank you so much, Jay Hawthorne. And thank everyone that's been here, you know what I mean? But, that's just something that I want to get off my chest, you know what I mean? I'm back again tomorrow at 11:30. I will continue to do these lives every weekday at 11:30, and you know what I mean? I'm just here to just kick it with you guys and help you any way I can. The mood it put you in matter. Well, yeah, you could say that, the mood that it puts you in, but also, what about, again, the path that you could put yourself in that good mood without the plant, right? You do your internal work. You have that internal dialogue. You tell yourself positive things. You tell yourself great things. You tell yourself how great you are, right? You become in charge of that voice that's in your head. And not to say that sometimes that voice in your head doesn't have a mind of its own, right? But when it does tell you something negative, you know what? I'm in control of this. Right? So now you consciously tell yourself, or tell the negative aspect of yourself, the thing, the ego that's telling you, hey, listen, you can't do this, or be fearful, or whatever it is. Now you get in control of that voice, right? And not to say control what it says, but you control what you tell it, and you let it know that you are the boss. And you let yourself know, you speak these positive things. I'm going to have a great day. I'm going to interact with great people. I'm going to do great things. Pardon me. Right? And not only say it, feel it and do it. Not only say it, but feel it and do it. So yes, the mood that it puts you in matters, but the mood that you put yourself in matters even more. Right? I'm not here to say don't have a good time. I'm not out here to tell you to stop doing whatever it is that you choose to do. I would prefer you not to, because you don't have to, right? But if that's something that you feel that you need to do, who am I to tell you not to do it? You have to decide, I'm not going to do it because of what it's doing for my life. You have to decide, or whether it's something where it's like, well, you know what? I don't have to do it every day. Maybe just stop for a little bit and say, all right, cool. Well, you know what? Once a week, exercise some discipline. Exercise a little bit of discipline, and just say, all right, cool. I'm going to start by cutting down on what it is that I'm doing. And after you start by cutting down the frequency of you doing it, then you'll get to the point where, and then you have a mission that's in front of you. You have something that you're doing, that you're planning in front of you. Then you get to the point where you start realizing, you start weighing what's most important. Is most important my addiction, or is most important my mission? Right? Then you get to the point where you're choosing between the two, and you decide, all right, cool. Well, you know what? In order for me to be the best version of myself, I'm going to have to let go of this addiction. And ultimately, the choice is yours. Only you could make that choice. As Bob Marley said, as I referenced earlier in this video, none but ourselves can free our mind. None but ourselves can free our mind. And that internal dialogue is really what matters. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for being a part of this show. Thank you guys for making this an absolute blessing. Again, smash that like button. Make sure that you guys subscribe to the channel. I'll be back tomorrow at 11:30 p.m. I'll be doing 2 streams on the weekend before I go pick up my daughter, and then again in the midnight. So maybe not midnight. We'll decide the later time. But tomorrow I'll be back at 11:30. And have a wonderful day. And before I go, listen, before you go to your bed tonight, say positive things to yourself. Say something positive to yourself and put yourself into a great vibe. Feel something positive, right? Not just say it, but also feel it. And then when you wake up tomorrow, say something. I'm going to have a phenomenal day. Tell yourself these things. Put yourself in that vibration to feel good and do good things. And keep yourself in that vibration throughout the day. Despite somebody cutting you off on the road, despite whatever it is, just be in control of yourself and be in control of your emotion. And just have a wonderful day, man. Have a great one, guys. Take care. The old way is brewing tea, not smoking. Absolutely. The old way is brewing tea, not smoking, right? Find a different way to ingest it if you must. But a better thing to do is not to ingest it, because you don't need it as much as you think you do. Everyone have a blessed night. Thank you so much for being a part of this show. Take care again, guys. Bye-bye. See you tomorrow, 11:30.